Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you do not want to miss what happens next. Today, I'm going to share something with you that still gives me chills whenever I think about it. This is a true story that happened to me last month, and I still don't have all the answers. It's about something so simple, so ordinary, that became the most terrifying experience of my life. It's about a doorbell. So, let me set the scene for you. I moved into my new apartment about 3 months ago. It's a small one-bedroom place on the 3rd floor of an older building. The walls are thin. The floors creak. But I was just happy to have my own place. The apartment came partially furnished, and the previous tenant had left behind a video doorbell. You know, one of those smart ones with a camera that connects to your phone. I thought that was pretty cool. Who leaves behind an expensive doorbell? But I wasn't complaining. It gave me an extra sense of security. Everything was normal for the first 2 months. The doorbell would ring for deliveries, neighbors, all normal stuff. It worked perfectly. Then, exactly 2 months after I moved in, something changed. It was a Tuesday night. I was just getting into bed when I heard it. The doorbell rang. I checked my phone to 47 a.m. That number is burned into my brain now. I grabbed my phone expecting a notification from the doorbell app, but there was nothing. I opened the app manually. The live feed showed an empty hallway. Nobody was there. I figured it was a malfunction and went to bed. The next night, Wednesday, I was watching videos with headphones on, when some instinct made me take them off, just in time to hear the doorbell ring. I looked at my phone. 2:47 a.m. Exactly. Again, no notification. I opened the camera, and again, the hallway was completely empty. This time, I felt uneasy, twice in a row, at the exact same time. That's too specific to be a coincidence. I got up, looked through the people. I pressed my ear against the door and listened. Silence. Thursday night, I was determined to stay awake. Primera ma. Te coffee at 2 a.m. and sat on my couch, phone in, and doorbell app open. I watched the minutes tick by. Las 2:45, las 2:46, and then, exactly at 2:47 a.m., the doorbell rang. I was staring at my phone screen the whole time. The hallway was empty. No movement, no person, nothing. But the doorbell definitely rang. My heart was pounding as I opened the door and stepped into the cold hallway. It was completely still. Friday came, and I was exhausted. I called my landlord, who said he'd send someone on Monday. Great. So I had to get through the weekend. Friday night, 2:47 a.m. The doorbell rang again. I just lay in bed and listened to the chime echo through my small apartment. Saturday night, I decided to try something. I set up my laptop with the webcam facing my front door from inside the apartment to record what happened. I also looked up the history of my building. I'm not really into paranormal stuff, but I was running out of logical explanations. I found an article from 1989 about a resident who passed away in one of the apartments and was UNS discovered for several days. It didn't say which apartment. It felt a bit silly, but I was grasping at straws. At 2:47 a.m., the doorbell rang. My laptop was recording. I watched the timestamp on my screen hit 2:47 exactly as the chime sounded. Sunday night, I told my friend Alex everything. He suggested maybe someone in the building was messing with me. Maybe they hacked the doorbell. It sounded far-fetched, but more logical than anything else. He offered to come over Monday to witness it. Sunday night, 2:47 a.m. The doorbell rang same as always. Monday morning, the maintenance guy, Carlos, showed up. He checked everything: wiring, Wi-Fi, camera. After 45 minutes, he concluded it was all working perfectly. I asked him about the previous tenant, a young woman named Sarah. He said she'd lived here for a year and left suddenly, breaking her lease. When I asked why she might have left the expensive doorbell, he just shrugged. Monday night, Alex came over. We watched movies and waited. We sat there, staring at the clock. Las 2:45 a.m., las 2:46 km, 2:47 a.m. hit, and nothing happened. The doorbell didn't ring. We waited. Still, nothing. Alex looked at me like I'd made the whole thing up. For 6 nights straight it had rung, and now the one night I have a witness. Nothing. He eventually went home, and I felt like I looked crazy. Tuesday night, I was alone again. Las 2:47. And the doorbell rang. I actually jumped. It was back. Whatever had stopped it for one night was gone. The pattern was back. It didn't ring when Alex was there. It felt significant. Like whatever was doing this knew when I was alone. Wednesday, I knocked on my neighbor's door downstairs, an older woman named Mrs. Pedesum. I asked if she'd noticed anything strange around. 2:47 a.m. She invited me in for tea and told me something that made my blood run cold. She said that about 6 months ago, before I moved in, she would hear footsteps in my apartment around 3 a.m. almost every night. Slow, deliberate pacing. She mentioned it to Sarah, the previous tenant, but Sarah said she was always asleep. The footsteps continued for weeks until Sarah suddenly moved out. Then they stopped. That night, Wednesday at 2:47 a.m., the doorbell rang, but this time instead of checking the camera, I just sat very still and listened. After the chime faded, I heard it. Very faint, but there. Footsteps. Not in the hallway. In my apartment. Behind me. I spun around, nothing. The footsteps came from my bedroom. My body was covered in goosebumps. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and slowly walked toward my bedroom. The room was exactly as I had left it, but the air felt different, heavier. I checked everywhere. Nothing. But I couldn't shake the feeling I wasn't alone. I spent the rest of the night with all the lights on. As soon as the sun came up, I called my landlord and told him I needed to break my lease. I agreed to forfeit my security deposit. I started packing that same day. Thursday was my last night. I had most of my stuff packed, sleeping on an air mattress. I was determined to stay awake one last time. As the time approached, I positioned myself in front of the door with my phone recording. 2:47 a.m. arrived, and the doorbell rang. But this time, something else happened. My phone, which had a 70% charge, suddenly shut off. The lights in my apartment flickered, and then I heard the doorbell ring again. And again. And again. Rapid succession, like someone was pressing it frantically. I stood there frozen as the chiming continued. Ober and ober. Then it stopped. The silence was deafening. My phone suddenly turned back on, with the same battery percentage. The app showed just one notification, despite the dozen rings. The recording just showed an empty hallway. Thank you for listening to my story. I still don't know what was happening in that apartment, but I'm glad I got out. If you have any theories, please let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. I grabbed my keys, my wallet, and just left. I didn't care that it was the middle of the night. I found a 24-hour cafe and stayed there, nursing a single cup of coffee until the sun came up. I never spent another night in that apartment. It took me less than a week to find someone to take over my lease, a college student who was just thrilled about the affordable rent. A part of me screamed to warn them, to say something about the doorbell. But how could I? How do you tell a stranger that without sounding completely insane? I tried to rationalize it. Primera told myself, maybe it won't happen to them. Maybe it was just me. That was a month ago. I'm in a new place now, clear across town. There are no doorbells here of any kind, not even a normal one. I have a simple, old-fashioned door knocker, and that's it. I'm sleeping better, for the most part. But sometimes I still jolt awake, and when I check the clock, it's always the same, 2:47 a.m. And I just lie there in the suffocating darkness, wondering, is that doorbell still ringing in that old apartment? After I moved out, my curiosity got the better of me. I had to know more. I did some digging on social media and found her. Sarah, the tenant who lived there right before me. I sent her a message, trying to sound casual, just asking about the apartment, and I specifically asked about the doorbell. She replied within a few hours. Her story sent a chill right through me. She told me she was the one who installed the smart doorbell. Apparently, a strange man had shown up at her door late one night, claiming he was there for maintenance. The problem was, the landlord had never sent anyone. She wanted the camera for security, for peace of mind. But then she told me the real reason she left. She said that right after she installed it, she started having these vivid, terrifying nightmares. Every single night. Always at the same time. Nightmares of someone standing in her doorway, just watching her sleep. She'd wake up in a blind panic at exactly 2:47 a.m. And sometimes, she could still see the figure standing there for a few seconds before it faded away. She moved out because she couldn't take it anymore. She left the doorbell behind because she wanted to forget that apartment ever existed. Primera vez to ask, did you ever find out anything about the apartment's history? She said the landlord had mentioned it once, in passing. Someone had lived in that unit for 20 years. They had passed away right there, in the apartment. Natural causes. Nothing suspicious, but nobody claimed the body for several days. That's all she knew. I thanked her for the information, and we haven't spoken since. I've thought about reaching out to the new tenant, that college student, just to check in to see if they're okay, if they're experiencing anything. But I haven't been able to bring myself to do it. A part of me is just too scared of what they might tell me. Maybe it's selfish, but I think I'd rather not know. So, that's my story. The smart doorbell that rang every single night at 2:47 a.m. on T-dot. I still don't have a real explanation for it. Was it some bizarre technical glitch? Was it something else? Paranormal? Is there a logical explanation that I just couldn't find? I honestly don't know. All I know is that it was real. It happened to me, and it was terrifying in a way that's hard to put into words. It wasn't a jump scare. It wasn't a threat. It was just this deep, invasive wrongness that felt inescapable. If you're watching this, and you've ever experienced something similar, something that happens at the same exact time, every night, with no explanation, let me know in the comments. Maybe we can figure this out together. Or maybe some things are just meant to remain mysteries. But I'll leave you with this piece of advice. If you move into a new place and something feels off, don't ignore it. Don't try to rationalize it away like I did. Trust your gut. And if you have a smart doorbell that starts acting strange, especially in the dead of night, maybe just get rid of it. Some conveniences just aren't worth the price. I learned that the hard way. Thank you all for listening to my story. If it gave you the chills, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss what comes next. And remember, sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's on the other side of the door. Sometimes it's not knowing who or what is ringing the bell. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next one.